building those shoulders healthy again.
Yep.
What peptides would you recommend instead of a cortisone injection?
Is there anything that you know of right now that is going to prolong the peptides for longer than 90 days or anything? I do want to talk to you, and I'm going to jump back for a second. Because you talked about peptides, and they're going to be out for another 90 days. I just talked to an attorney, Rick Collins, who's been in the health and fitness world for decades. And he was just explaining how this came about and why the FDA is doing this. And he didn't say the irony in it, but I see the irony in it. You know, it's like, oh, peptides are so bad, but you can still go get cigarettes. You know, all right, cool deal. But it was a great discussion. And coming back to you, he's on that legal side of what he knows, how it came down and how it came to fruition, I guess you would say. You're in the war. You're in this going, hey, this is a beneficial thing. How do we keep it? And this last week, I know, has been crazy for you.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you know of right now that is going to prolong the peptides for longer than 90 days or anything?
I mean, other than pharmacies kind of going rogue and doing what they want to do, that's the only thing I can see out of it. You know, I mean, distributors still got the powders. I checked with a couple different pharmacies because they're all having big meetings about this. Don't think they aren't. They are, and I mean, they're in contact with me daily about what's going on, what they're planning on doing, and you know, there's a lot of different ways that they're talking about, like, going around this. And, you know, for me, I've been a legitimate guy for 11 years, you know, with Titan Medical Center. I've never done anything gray area. I've been very conservative. Our practice is conservative. So I don't want to do anything to get in trouble or to put me in harm's way. Obviously, having the family, having the business, I don't want to get any trouble. But there are places out there that are talking about, you know, having the site for the wholesale distribution and doing the testing from a pharmaceutical level and compounding level. I don't know how they're going to do that because in the United States, the FDA rules, and the FDA says that they don't want to do that. So whether they're coming from an outside source, like some of these pharmacies have pharmacies like in Dubai. So if they can import it from Dubai, per se, and they get around the compounding portion, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be really tricky, Mike. You know, they're looking at different compounds, though, I can tell you, for growth hormone-releasing hormone peptides. So there's only so many sequences that CJC has as far as the amino sequence. There are other sequences and growth hormone-releasing hormone peptides that aren't banned. So those could be coming forward. There are some different ones. But the whole point is that so many patients have already benefited from some of these, just BPC and TB500. Let's just name those two. I think the big play would be, you know, would be to sign the petition, get as many signatures as possible, because that is really what is going to turn the FDA's hand and say, listen, we'll take this back. That's the only way it's going to happen. And otherwise, it's not going to happen. And the longer that it goes, the more concrete and sealed it's going to be, I think. You know, I'm sure. Listen, Rick he's an expert in the field. I mean, he's defended some huge steroid cases. He knows all the law. I mean, that's his thing. Like, that's his niche. Right. So, you know, I mean, he'll probably have some insight. I mean, why they wanted to ban peptides. What did he say as far as for banning peptides? Did he have any, like, this is why they want to ban? Because usually they only ban, like, or they go after one at a time. They brought out, I mean, the mega list. They're like, and the exact same reasoning for every one of them is like, okay, guys, like, what are we doing here? So what did he say?
He got into it really well on how it came up. And it almost seems like how would you say this? The layman's point of view on this is these people have to do and spend so much money on a drug to get the research done to appease the FDA to get it out there, where these guys did no research on it. And so the FDA, these guys are complaining, going, we spend this kind of money and you guys don't spend nothing and go do this. So it seems like a little tattletale kind of a thing.
Gotcha.
Which
Big pharma.
But I was bringing up an analogy. It's new day and age, and also this seems so minor in the world of FDA that this is something that let's spend all the time on and ban this. Okay, they're just going to put it on the black market. Now we do have issues because the kids are taking whatever it is.
Right.
So
That's a problem.
His point of view was just basically the outlining of why it happened, why it came up, and then
Gotcha.
the financial part of this aspect.
It's all about the money.
He has to stay level-headed and stuff. But
of course.
it just seems so shady to me because I mean, think of this. One of the first statements was, "Well, this is the FDA; it's not the government." And I'm like, "Oh, great!" So, that's why I'm so happy about the vaccine because that was the FDA, not the government. Really, really, was it though? Right. That's called sarcasm, everybody.
Right.
So it's like, okay, and you can still buy cigarettes, and cigarettes seem to be really, really healthy for you, right?
They've proven it. I mean, if there's a warning on the pack, put a warning on the label then. At that point, and let it be the person's choice. If it's on the label, hey, listen, this could have some serious effects. All right, cool. Then it's on the label, and you know what? Somebody signs a waiver or whatever it may be. I mean, they're that worried about something. Because technically, if Titan Medical Center wanted to run a research campaign on any drug that we had or therapy that we had, some people could sign off on a research waiver and still take the drug. Because it's for research purposes only, we're not selling. So I mean, there's different things that these people are talking about doing. I mean, unless something's concrete, I don't know if it'd be worth the squeeze. I wouldn't want to do anything illegal or put anybody in a bind or anything like that. It's just it's just crazy. But it's a money play, and it's big pharma. I mean, flexing their muscles and their lobbyists, and
I got
FDA's doing what they want.
I don't care what happens to big pharma. They're just making Anyway,
billions of dollars.
Yeah, man, I love America, and I love that we have so many opportunities here. But to think the government's on our side all the time, or they're not making their money, that's another discussion. You guys enjoy. I love it. Enjoy your world. With that being said, I want to go to two more subjects.
Sure.
Because you're coming back from the surgery. You're coming back from building those shoulders healthy again.
Yeah.
Did you, while you were dieting and not training, did you add in carbohydrates for the recovery, or did you not change your nutrition at all?
I didn't change my nutrition at all.
What was the reason for that?
So I've been so consistent with my nutrition that I don't think I need any change.
I'm sorry. Did your calorie intake change?
I went down in calories, I think, a little bit. I might have went down a little bit, as far as that goes, because I wasn't going to need the calories. Usually I need a little bit more carbohydrates and stuff like that when I'm going to have a workout the next day or later on that day. I might have some, so that's changed a little bit. I mean, I lessened up on the carbohydrates. The protein factor, I didn't change anything.
Okay.
Because I'm like, listen, my body, if I don't want to go into a catabolic and I don't want to lose anything I got. And at that point, the more protein, the better. Carbohydrates, I'll the bare minimum of what I need to function properly mentally. But physically, I mean, I'm good, man. So, I mean, I could honestly, Mike, I could take away carbohydrates altogether out of my diet and not have a problem. I mean, literally, I could probably just eat proteins all day long. Do I like carbohydrates? Hell yeah. I mean, like some white rice definitely gets me going, or like, if I get a chance, if I do get some really, really good home cut French fries, that would maybe go spastic, I guess. But I mean, I do the carbohydrates because I need them for what I know. I'm like, listen, my body needs to build. It needs carbohydrates to build. It needs it for more energy. So that's kind of what I did. But nutrition really didn't change for me at all, man. I mean, I've been on the same nutrition plan for so long that I felt like if I changed it, I was either going to lose a lot of weight or, I was going to go off the beaten path and start eating things that maybe I shouldn't be eating.
Yeah.
So at that point, I just want to stick in the routine. I'm like, if I stick in my routine, I'm not going to get off anything. It's going to be the exact same thing. The only thing that I'm missing right now is my training, and I'm going to set up how my training is going to look like when I get there. And then at that point, have a plan. So that's kind of what I did. I mean, but right now, I mean, I've upped carbohydrates, a little bit more, about a half a cup each meal, to more what I was at. So at that point, hopefully that'll help me build a lot quicker. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the final product looks like in a couple of weeks.
You're always on point. You know, I've noticed this just spending time with you too at the house. Um, yeah, just my recommendation for somebody out there, if you are dealing with an injury, the research goes back to bring up the carbohydrates a little bit, feed the body a little bit, and again, especially if you're younger, you know, you young athletes, if you do something happens during the baseball game or football, take your calories. Don't run away from calories. And John was always, like he said, he's always taken in the right amount of protein to keep that muscularity. And then now he's back to training so he can take his calories up even a little bit more, like he was talking about. So it's great insight on coming back from this stuff and continuing to work. What's the question there, Jeffrey?
It says, what peptides would you recommend instead of a cortisone injection?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, BBC 157 and TB 500 all day, every day, guys. That's what I use for my shoulders. And you know what? I have used cortisone before, you know, but you cannot use cortisone a lot. And if you use cortisone a lot of deterioration of ligaments and all other different things that can happen. So I see people abuse, especially ex-athletes, professional athletes, because you're hurt. A trainer goes in, cortisone shot, man, you feel like $1 million, and then you're out there playing, and then you're really hurting yourself, you know, at that point. You know, cortisone is a false mask of symptoms. It takes away the inflammation, so you feel a lot better. You're like, oh, man, I'm back to $1 million. But 3 months later, 4 months later, you're starting to feel that pain again. So it really masks the pain. And then at that point, when people feel like they're $1 million, they don't adhere to the warning. Don't go back in training 110%.
But they feel good, Johnny.
Dude, oh man, Drew's my number one thing on this guy. I'm like, Drew, don't do this. Okay. I feel great. Oh, I'm gonna do 5 plates. I'm like, dude, man, come on, Drew, come on, bro. You know, so it's something like, you know, it's you know, it is what it is. So you have to think about these things and just make sure, like, because if you do use cortisone, you're gonna feel good, and at that point, you're gonna go back and you're gonna start doing things that you probably shouldn't be doing. So it's better to feel the pain, and that's why the pain's there. It's to tell you, don't be doing all these things. Or if you do it like this, it's going to hurt you. And you shouldn't be doing it like this right now. So, you know, that's just something you got to listen to your body. Your body is telling you these things. If you listen to your body, you know, you'll be a lot more healthier, and you'll get to the root of the problem a lot faster. It's when you start masking the symptoms and then other things start going wrong, and then you really can't pin down to what really is the issue here.
I love that you said that. It's so cortisol is basically masking it compared to the BP, the peptides, which again are available, and the number is right there at the bottom of the screen, that are helping rebuild it. So the one's just covering it up, going, hey, enjoy the next 3 months, 6 months, whatever, of not feeling that pain, but it's still there, and it's getting only worse relative to the peptides. And again, right there. But
you know, there's a lot of people using like Nandrolone, like for joint areas. Like Nandrolone is masking the problem, right? That's not helping. So at that point, people, you know, you got to understand what's going to help you, and look at the risk versus the benefit reward system here. Both of those are going to reward you negatively. They might help beneficially for a couple months, but you know, it's something that you can't do permanently. It's not going to permanently last. Even if you get cortisone shots, you know, it's going to weaken and weaken and weaken through the time. And like me, like I will have to have surgery on my shoulders one day. You know, I'm just delaying the inevitable right now and getting through what I can get through and trying to help myself heal as fast as possible, or even any better than what it is. Because if I can heal it any better, or it can fix itself, then I'll be great. But, you know, we'll see how it goes. I'll just keep using BBC until I can't get it no more.
Something else you said that I so agree with and live by is, if you feel the pain, you'd want to feel the pain. If you're moving through an exercise and there is a hiccup in that move, understand what's going on. And again, for me, like anytime I do any exercise, I'm moving it through first to feel if the body's functioning and shooting right and everything's working. And then if I do feel a hiccup, I try to work through it and force blood into that location. And still to this day, that works for me. You know, it doesn't matter if my back is tweaked, my shoulders tweaked, my knees are tweaked. By the time I get done with those basic warm-ups, the body feels good, it feels healthy, and you force blood in that location, which is helping heal it.
course.
But I'm also not masking it and going, hey, I can go to 700 today. Maybe 500 is great.
Right.
So
That's smart, Mike. That's definitely a smart way to do it. And you've got years of experience doing it. So at that point, like, if it works, it definitely works. I mean, and you should be able to feel things. And if you start working through, because, I see some of these guys, and the other guys I talk to, man, it's like, they're doing like, some are using painkillers and stuff like that to get through some of these pain and stuff like that. And they're working through. I'm like, dude, this is a bad path to go down. Like, one, these things are highly addictive. Two, you're not feeling any of the pain. So if you do have pain or something's wrong, you're just going to be hurting yourself even more, man. So it's something that people really need to look into. Of course, listen, if you're hurting and stuff like that, you want to try to alleviate the pain. But when you're working out, you're not going to take painkillers or subside the pain or be numb to it when you're starting to work out. It's just a bad method to do. I think it sets the wrong tone and message for people out there too as well.